done that before. That is part of a program that IRS has to try to make sure that everyone is claiming all their income. They have several in place, several getting ready to go in place, and it's going to be, it's going to be interesting. It's a lot of paper
Yeah,
if you're a
a lot of
small
people.
business,
Yeah.
and that's one of the reasons why they want to try to repeal it. But unfortunately, there's a lot of businesses that don't claim that, and that's the reason why they're doing it.
They're trying to make sure to catch up with everybody.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay. Well, just to kind of recap a little bit, the individual rates were reduced, and they just stay where they are, with the lowest tax rate being at 10% and the highest being at 35%, just as it has been for the previous 2-3 years. The capital gains rate, that stays reduced, and again, it will help people who may still have some mutual funds or stocks and are unemployed, because they may not have to pay taxes. The education incentives will be in place not only for college, but if you have if you have a child in elementary or high school, you could open up an account and have that account pay that private school, and you could take a tax deduction. The alternative minimum tax, they patched it for now. It's good for 2 years. 100% depreciation, so basically a business could go out, buy a truck if they use that for business, and depreciate that truck entirely in the first year. So it could be if you're in a trucking business, it might be a $60,000, $70,000 piece of equipment, which would give you cash flow and reduce your taxes. Energy incentives, and I didn't talk about that a little bit. If you had bought a hot water heater, if you had your windows replaced with those energy efficient windows, you get a credit for that, and sometimes as much as $1,500. So those are things that people can look at. And again, the final, the estate tax relief, and that's if you die. You don't pay tax anyway. It's the people you leave behind who have to deal with it. So those are some of an overview of that law and what it can do for you, and hopefully people will talk to their tax preparer or talk to us and come in and look and see what we can do, because this year taxes are more complicated than they have been for several years.
So you don't want to do taxes by yourself like me. I try to do my own taxes. And this is how I met Anthony, actually, because the IRS is auditing me. I mean, come on. So don't try to do your taxes yourself. You have to talk to the professional, somebody who knows what's going on, is aware of the changes, and could implement them to your benefit. So tell us about this program that you have online that's sort of two-part.
Okay. Well, one of the things, saying that you should see someone, there is a case where maybe you don't. If all you have is a W-2 and maybe dependents, that's a very simple return. You could actually go online and do that. We do have an online program, again, at sykesaccounting.com, and you just click on the button and it'll take you right there. If you're unemployed, it's for free. If you're IRS, it's free. If it's a short form, it's free. So we give you a lot of incentives to at least come and take a look at us. But one of the things, if you're considering filing your own taxes for yourself, you need to do kind of take a little quiz. And again, it should be a very simple return, and that is if you have just a W-2, possibly if you have a couple dependents or dependents, and you don't have much else. If you have dividends, for instance, they could be qualifying dividends. Now, what qualifying dividends are, you receive a tax break for that. So if you're in the, let's say, 15% bracket and you have qualifying dividends, they may only be taxed at 10%. But unless you know that, unless you know what that means, you're going to pay tax that you didn't have to.
Right, and we don't want to do that.
Those are the things that you need to talk to a professional on. And that's why I said if it's a very simple return, easy, then yeah. And the judge of that really is you, but only if there's nothing else. If you have maybe interest, that there's no breaks on interest, and just a W-2. If you have a home, there's some tax breaks in there. If you've given things to charity, there may be a tax break there. So you should always think about, am I getting the lowest tax? So even if you use one of those online programs, including my own, call me. We will look at that return for free. You have to bring it in. I can't pull your return out. That's private information, and I'm not allowed, even on my own program, to pull it out. You have to come in and see me.
Very interesting. Now, what do people need to bring in? Because, you know, most people, when they think of their taxes, they just bring all this paper and they dump it on your desk or something like that. So what do you need, you know, 5 pieces of information that you need to absolutely do the best?
Copy of last year's return. What that does is it says, this is what you did, this is how you did it last year. All your income that you had for this year, so your W-2s and 1099s and so on. Then, if something different happened, let's say you were in an accident and you got a settlement, that may or may not be taxable. So, you know, actually what I say is kind of bring all that paper in, even though it's cumbersome, and we sort through that, because you could be leaving out a tax deduction, or unfortunately, you could be setting yourself up to receive a tax bill because you didn't claim some income that you should have.
Or you could be audited.
You could be audited. And that's
you can tell I'm stuck on that because it's just, oh my gosh.
There are 12 red buttons for IRS, and we probably should talk about that at a later time.
Yeah, we'll come back.
But yes, audits are up 400%.
Wow. See, that's why they come in. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, thank you so much for being here, Anthony. This has been Anthony Sykes on Literary Speak. Again, we are about being literate about every aspect of your life. And since it's January 2011, and we know the tax season is coming up, you want to be literate about it, and you want to make sure that you get the money that you do back, but the government also wants to make sure that they get their piece of the pie as well. So, Anthony, thank you. Tell us your contact information again, and then we'll call.
Again, you can reach me at on my website, sykesaccounting.com, or call me at 562-864-2341. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm Deborah Thomas on Literary Speak, Taxes 2011.